Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well. Good afternoon, World Changers. My name is Suzy Beaumont. I am a personal development consultant and founder of Change Your World. And I'm joined by Kamalyn Kaur, who is a mindset coach, and she's also a psychotherapist from Key Therapies. And we have been doing this weekly series because we've been invited onto BBC Radio Scotland to talk about various subjects in a feature called the Winter Wellness feature. And we've been on every Monday, 11:10 on BBC Radio Scotland with Kate Adams. And this week we were talking about love and Valentine's Day. And because we only get like literally a 5-minute slot or 10-minute slot, we thought, right, let's do this podcast. Let's broaden it out and let's talk about and unpick these issues more. So thank you for joining us today. Do put in the comments where you're joining us from and let us know where you are. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and we can answer them. But today we're asking, what would love do? So for all you singletons out there, all you couples out there that experience Valentine's Day, this is the peg, the reason. So obviously there was a lot of pressure to put for Valentine's Day, or I sound cynical already. Don't
I? I was going to say, you don't sound very positive about it.
Some people, they love Valentine's Day. This is my own projection there. I'm just like, yeah, total pressure.
However, dripping with disappointment.
I was lucky this year. I got a lovely present from my partner. However, we're talking Valentine's Day, but we're talking about love in general. And we're going to unpick the subject of love, what it is, how it should feel, or what it feels like to you. And how to apply it. You know, what would love do? This question is fundamentally changing my life, and we'll unpick that. So first of all, Kamalyn, what's your thoughts on Valentine's Day? I know I sound cynical already, but
I feel like I can't give you an honest answer. I feel like I can't give you an honest answer. I feel like I have to give you the answer you want to hear.
No, tell me what you really think. Come on, no holding back.
I know. So to be honest, I'm no different to you. I'm probably just as cynical about it. So for me, Valentine's Day, I think is a lovely gesture, right? And I think it's a nice day, and I think it's a nice sentiment to have. But personally, for me, it's just another day. It's another 24 hours. It's not any different to any other day. I don't shower extra love on my loved ones. I just treat them exactly like I would every other day of the year, because I think love is not just about that 24-hour period of time. I think it's about how you are overall throughout the year and over the course of that relationship. So for me, it's just another day, and I don't really buy into all the hype at all.
This is it though, and you must have seen this with some of your clients, and maybe you can give us some stories without revealing any identities, but the pressure or the love bombing or the status that can come sometimes with Valentine's Day, you know, people buying presents that are not really for their loved one, it's more about themselves.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. So it's almost an obligation, isn't it? It becomes an obligation. It's Valentine's Day, so I have to buy this. It's Mother's Day, so I must get something. It's Father's Day, so I better get something. That's not really coming from a place of love, is it? Or it could be argued, would you have, let me start that again. Would you have done that if it wasn't Mother's Day, Father's Day, or Valentine's Day, right? Yeah. So I guess that's what you need to ask yourself. If you're buying the bunch of flowers, or if you're buying a gift, or if you're buying into something to give to your partner or to your loved one because there is a label on that day, then I think you need to question the question you need to ask yourself is, why would you not buy that normally? Or why would you not do that normally? Or why do you have to wait until it's declared as a holiday to be able to do that? Why can you not just buy whatever you want, whenever you want? Doesn't make any sense, does it?
No. But on the flip side of that, you know, any guys watching this, or even females as well, they might be going, but my partner expects it. And if I don't get it, I'm going to get it in the neck. And, you know, there's that pressure on them saying, well, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. You know, they don't appreciate it because they know I'm only buying it because it's Valentine's Day. But yet the flip side is, if I don't do it, I'm going to get it in the neck as well. So
yeah, so it becomes, and that's my point, it becomes an obligation. So it's not something you want to do, it's something that you feel obliged to do, or you feel under pressure to do, or you feel I must do because everybody else is doing it, or everybody else is going out for a meal, or everybody else is buying something for their partner. But then just because everybody else is doing it, why do you have to do it? But also, why do you have to do it on that particular day? Why can't you just do it any other day?
Yeah. So picking up on that point, you know, about the pressure and, you know, what's expected, what's not expected, and it being an obligation. So it really comes down to, if you are in a relationship, having that conversation. Are we doing Valentine's Day? You know, I mean, even having that conversation, you know, are we doing Valentine's Day? Because I mean, me and Dave do it all the time. And we both go, no, like, seriously, like, come on, we, you know, the rest of the year, we do a lot for each other. I mean, we've got a pact where if we get money in, say, like, we might do a car boot sale, or we sell something, or money car, you know, birthday money, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We put it into an adventure fund. And as soon as we've got a decent amount, we then go and have like a holiday or a weekend away, or some kind of, you know, experience, so that we're creating memories. And that's our way of
celebrating,
celebrating our relationship, just connecting with each other, showing love, just having fun, you know, something to sort of look forward to. So when it comes to days like Valentine's Day, we're just a bit like, yeah. The other thing I need to add, it's also my sister's birthday, so there's always
it's like a family gathering, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always been a completely different focus on our birthday. I remember when we lived together, and all these cards used to come through on Valentine's Day, and because my sister, like, she's called Michelle, but sometimes people call her Shelley, so it'd be S. Beaumont, same initials. I'm like, oh, just so
it's for me. It's like it's actually Michelle's birthday card coming through.
I know. I'm like, the postie arriving, be like, whoa, somebody's popular. I'm like, I know. What can I say?
Oh dear. So, but then I guess what you're saying is that you can mark the day, but you don't have to spend a lot of money, and you don't have to do something that's on that particular day then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I want to move on from Valentine's Day, and I want to talk about love in general. And we've entitled this Facebook Live, this podcast, What Would Love Do? Because one thing that I've been exploring, so I've done personal development for 10, 15 years now. And the more I do it, the more I'm coming to this conclusion that love really is the answer. The more we are in alignment with love, the more we act with love, the more the relationships are beneficial, the more, you know, we enjoy doing what we do, the activities that, you know, if you do it from a place of love rather than fear or some other ulterior motive, anger, guilt, whatever, then you're going to have a much more empowering response. So I've been asking this question, what would love do? So anytime I'm in a situation where I'm challenged or I've had an argument with somebody or fallen out or there's a bit of conflict, I think, what would love do? And usually, pretty much, in fact, not usually, 100% of the time, it's usually complete opposite of what you want doing. Right. Yeah, of what I'm currently. So if I'm yelling at my poor partner, Dave, because I'm just like, I'm stressed out, I'm like, ah! And I'm yelling, and I'm like, okay, what would love do in this situation? It's not that. So I'm curious to know your thoughts on this technique. What do you think? And could you see it working in all aspects of life, all relationships, or do we need to put in some boundaries there?
So I guess that's a really good question, and it's a really good way of flipping things around as well. But at the same time, I think when people are so angry or they're so frustrated in the moment or they're so tired or exhausted, Suzy, because sometimes it's like having the same conversation. And I've seen this when I'm working with couples where I've worked with women that will say, but why do I have to keep saying the same thing again and again? So I think it becomes really hard to actually ask yourself that question in that moment, because that question is something you need to ask imminently in the moment or immediately afterwards, right? Otherwise it's too late. So if you are finding yourself constantly having those difficult conversations or difficult situations, yes, you can ask yourself, what would love do? But I think maybe rather than focus. So what I would personally be doing in that situation is not looking at what would love do in this moment in time, what would love do overall in this relationship. So there's something about that relationship on a wider umbrella that's not working, which is why we keep getting stuck on this particular issue again and again. So when things have calmed down a bit, I think it would be important to sit back and think, right, what is going on here? Why do we end up even at that point where we're having the same conversation again and again? So yes, you can still apply that question, but maybe apply it to the whole dynamic of the relationship rather than just in that particular moment. Yeah. So that means that you're not even getting to the point in that situation or in that relationship where you're having to stop in between a conversation and think, what would love do here? So overall, is it a respect thing? Is it a boundary thing? Is it a space thing? Are you maybe doing too much for your partner and there's an imbalance there? Are you maybe feeling quite tired and you need a bit more time to yourself? Is your partner taking you for granted? And maybe that's why you're having those difficult conversations and situations again and again. So what is there on a fundamental, foundational level that could be resulting in those difficult conversations manifesting again and again?
Yeah, we spoke about a lot of these things that you're raising here in our coaching group this week, and we were very much focused on what is love and healthy relationships. And one of the things that Colin, our coach of the week, was asking, he was like, okay, a couple of questions. First of all was, is there equality in the relationship? Are you both committed to transforming the relationship, or certainly a respectful, mutual, healthy relationship? What are the triggers and what are you projecting? So it really kind of got you to explore, okay, well, when I'm triggered, it might be because you're just tired and, you just need a better night's sleep. But if the same trigger keeps coming up, it's to explore that. And then the aim of what came out of the coaching week is to actually identify that as your own wound, take ownership of that, because whilst you're projecting blame, you're saying, oh, it's your fault, it's because you do this. It's actually not. It's a wound within yourself. And that's where the self-love has to be applied, to acknowledge that without judgment and then to work towards sort of healing it. What have you got any tips on how you even begin a self-love practice? Because I think a lot of people struggle with this. And I've seen so many people that I've worked with when, I've talked about self-love, self-value, and they're like, but I do love myself. I do value myself. And then when you really unpick it, you're like, well, are your actions and behaviors aligned with that? Yeah. Do they demonstrate that there's self-love going on there, self-worth, self-value? And most of the time they're like, oh, no.
And it's little things, isn't it? It's little things that people do on a day-to-day basis, Suzy, that they don't even realise are actually eroding self-love. They don't realise it because we've been socially conditioned to put everybody else before us and put ourselves right at the bottom of that pile.
Yeah, and it seemed as selfish to do it. We've talked about this in all our podcasts. It always comes down to your own self-care, and putting your own oxygen mask on first, because you cannot support somebody else from your own dodgy foundations or from your own empty cup, or if you're starving of oxygen. You have to get those foundations right. And it doesn't have to be perfect. No relationship will be perfect. And that was one of the other things that we explored this week, that having that, what are your expectations and are they realistic? Because we do like to think of this Hollywood dream of the perfect romance and all the rest of it. And it just, everyday life, it just does not exist. It really doesn't. But going back to the self-care. So what are some self-love practices that somebody could put into place to enhance their own well-being?
Okay, so there's so many, right? But I think because there's so many that apply, this is what causes confusion to people, and they start thinking, how does this apply to me, and how does this fit into my lifestyle, and what does this do for me? So I think the easiest way to make this personal and more tailor-made for yourself is to ask yourself the following questions. So think about the times where maybe you're neglecting yourself and you're not putting yourself first and you're not looking after yourself, right? And really hone in on the last time or the most recent situation in your life where you've done that. Then what to do is think about all the behaviors that you carry out that result in you getting yourself into that situation in the first place, where you feel neglected, you feel undervalued, you feel like you're not putting yourself. So some of the things that will start surfacing straight away is giving too much time to other people, not putting yourself first, taking on too much, not saying no, having unrealistic expectations, worrying about what everybody else is saying, the fear of being judged as not being helpful, feeling guilty, feeling like a bad person. These are just some of the things off the top of my head that are coming to my mind that you guaranteed will end up writing down on this list, because these are all the things that end up forcing you to do things when you don't want to. I mean, how many times have you felt absolutely exhausted and shattered and then felt guilty about saying no to a night out and thought, oh, I'll just go and I'll just quickly go show my face and then I'll come back. But then you're so agitated and you're so irritated when you're getting ready.
You're not even good company.
You're not even good company. And then you go there and you're just like, oh yeah, whatever. And then you come back, but like you've just wasted all that time to go and show your face for 10 minutes and then come back and feel even worse about the night. But do you see how easily we get coaxed into situations like that? Now, that's a one-off thing that you could be doing, but imagine doing that continuously for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, right? Do you see where eventually you start to experience stress, anxiety, and then ultimately burnout? So the first thing is, this is not quick fixes now. This is about looking at your overall behavioral patterns, right? So when you feel tired and neglected and you feel that you're not putting yourself first, what are the things that you're doing that result in you ending up in that situation in the first place? So what will happen is you'll have a list of all the things that you do. You're not going to be able to change everything on that list, but look at that list and ask yourself, what can I begin to do differently that will help me in my health and well-being? So it could be the simplest things, such as saying no to people before automatically saying yes, or saying to people, please, can I get back to you, rather than straight away saying yes and then afterwards trying to scramble your way out of that commitment, right? So just have a default answer of, okay, let me have a think about it and I'll get back to you. Straight away, you're going to take so much pressure off of yourself. But also, is there something there with your expectations? Do you have too much on your plate and it's just not possible and you don't have enough hours in the day to be able to actually do all the things that you're trying to do? And you might want to put some things on hold, park some things, and focus on the things that actually need your priority and your attention in that moment in time. So I think even just making small adjustments like that, yes, they're going to help you in the short term, but they'll also help you in the long term as well. Because there's no point in saying no to somebody or cancelling a commitment or cancelling a night out, but then to find yourself again and again in similar situations down the long run. So it is about making small adjustments. By something else, because it gets replaced by something else. So the key is to identify the behaviours, make a commitment, but then the key is consistency. No more one-offs here and there just to get you through stressful times. That needs to be your default position then all the time, so that you don't keep entering the same cycles again and again.
But even just asking that question, what would love do? If you find yourself in that situation, you're thinking, oh God, what did Cam say? Or what am I supposed to do? Just asking, pausing and saying, okay, what would love do?
Yeah.
Your heart, your soul and everything will tell you immediately, take a break, rest, do
sleep.
Whatever. It might even be, actually go out and have the night out, because you'll have lots of fun, but make sure you ditch all the other stuff that you're carrying and say no to that. So your soul will tell you, if you can remind yourself to stop and pause and say, what would love do? And just picking up when we were talking about, if you're having an argument with your partner and you're saying, obviously in the moment, it is when you step back and reflect and kind of go, okay, what would love do? What I want to sort of explore here is, because what I've done in those situations when I've asked myself, it's like, do you know what? Just go and give my partner a cuddle, tell him I love him. And then we sit down, we calm down, we talk about it and whatever the issue is. However, if you're in a situation where it's an unhealthy relationship or a toxic relationship, there's inequality or,
disrespect,
all the kind of things that will create an unhealthy relationship, you know, you might think, oh, what will love do? I'll give that person more love. Because I remember reading this quote that said you're either giving love or crying out for love, which knowing that, and I see it all the time, you know, you can, if you're aware of that and have that at the forefront of your mind, you can see when somebody's interacting with you, they're either giving you love and it's a very much a mutual relationship, or they're crying out for love and they need help. Now, the challenge is when somebody is abusive or it's a toxic, unhealthy relationship, if you're somebody that's very empathetic and, you know, constantly giving love, again, the imbalance. So how do we know where to draw the line where you actually have to apply the love to yourself to say, I need to get out of this relationship. This love needs to go to me and not the other person, because that other person
it's draining me now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's it. That's your red flag. So as soon as you start feeling that you are giving more than you're getting back. Now, even if you logically don't feel that, because like obviously if you're an empathetic person, you're never going to make that observation straight away, because you're going to have this hardwired tendency to keep giving. Keep giving and giving and giving. So this is the signs that you need to look out for. So if you start to feel anxious, if you start to feel stressed, if you start to feel tense, if you feel irritated and frustrated in that relationship, if you feel depleted of energy, if you feel exhausted all the time, if you feel it in your tummy all the time, or your tummy's just unsettled all the time, or if you feel just completely fatigued, then there's an imbalance in that relationship. You are draining yourself. You're literally just sucking the life source out of yourself and you're plugging it into somebody else. That's literally what you're doing. So if that starts to happen, and you know it's directly as a result of that relationship, and you know if it wasn't for that relationship, you would be okay, you have to get out, because that is nothing good is going to come out of that at all, because that person will take, and you're going to get nothing back in return. And what I mean by nothing back in return, I don't mean material things. I'm talking about love, respect, that time, the space, the care, the affection, the attention that you need. You're not going to get that back. And if you have a doubt about that, if you think it's all in your head and it's not the relationship, take a break from the relationship, get away from that person that's making you feel like that, and do a little social experiment. Take about between 7 to 10 days out from that relationship, no contact, no text message, nothing, like a complete detox. If you begin to feel better, you start to sleep, your energy levels start to get back on track, you start to feel less stressed and less irritable, you know that that issue is directly related to that individual. Test Absolutely. It out.
Yeah, and when you go back into the relationship and seeing all the symptoms
are going to come back again. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's important to point out, I mean, any relationship that is together for any period of time, especially if you're talking over decades, but even over years, there will be times in a relationship where there is an imbalance, because, you know, it might be a health implication, one partner is ill, or, you know, you might be equal breadwinners and one loses their job, and so there's financial stress. So we're not talking about those times. No, we're very much talking about
on a day-to-day level. We're not talking about crisis or trauma or life events. We're talking about if there's nothing else going on in your relationship, there's still constantly an imbalance. That's what we're referring to, because then that's not right. There's no reason for that person to be treating you like that. There's no reason for that person not to be emotionally available. And there's no reason for that person to be leaning on you all the time. So obviously, like you said, if there's something major going on, of course, there's going to be a power imbalance, and there's going to be an imbalance in emotion and affection, because that's life, isn't it? You need to factor that in. But if that's just what your relationship's like all the time, regardless of what's going on in the background, then that's, I mean, for me, that would be alarm bells ringing.
I wanted to establish that before a load of people go out and get divorces.
Because Suzy and Kamalyn told us.
I'm feeling miserable and tired and fed up, and I've had a 7-day break from you and I felt amazing.
Exactly. So we're not talking about that. Good point, Suzy, for putting a disclaimer in.
No, exactly. Don't blame us. We are not divorce coaches. Exactly. We're trying to keep you together. The thing is, asking again that question in that situation, if there is a crisis or there is a problem, what would love do? It would very much support the partner and you know, help them through that crisis and be there for them until they have the capacity to be independent again, I suppose. But there are times when these situations, they will spiral downwards. You know, it can be, the loss of a job, then a health problem, or, finances, stress, then losing the house, and it spirals and spirals. And I mean, it can go on for a long period of time. And it might be the case where you just think, oh my God, I just want out. I mean, what's your thoughts on, you will have clients, I'm sure, that have been in situations like this. How do you, or what do you advise, or what support do you give them? What do you say to them when they're thinking, I can't handle the crisis that's going on. I love my partner, but do you know what? Life would just be easier just to run.
Yeah, and it's easy to fall into that, and it's okay if you feel like that. It doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't make you a horrible person either. So don't feel guilty for having that thought. I think when you're in such extreme, intensified and stressful situations, it's natural to feel as though it'd be so much easier just to walk away from this. It feels like the easiest option, isn't it? But I think it's about taking a step back and realizing you don't have to stop the relationship. You can pause it as well, and I think it's important to remember that. So what you can say is, so in situations like that, don't have black and white thinking or the all or nothing thinking, because this is usually what's going on. So either it's going to be, I'm going to be there supporting this person every single day of my life, or I'm just going to have to pack my bags and leave. That's a really extreme polar opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's about remembering that there's gray areas in between as well, and identify what those gray areas are. If there is stress from work, and if there is stress from life events, then think about what is the middle ground here. So I don't want to leave. At the same time, I can't be here 24/7 because it's just not good for me. How can we strike a balance? But it's about working together as a couple to strike that balance. So saying to your partner, look, I want to help you and I want to support you, but this is all I can give you at this point. So who else can help you and support you during the other times? Is there external people that you need to get in? Do you need to get therapists involved? Do you need to get other professionals involved? Do you need to maybe get somebody in just to, I don't know, even like simple things like around the house, like cleaning, cooking? Do you need to maybe hire people just to do that for you for a while? There's so much help available out there if you're willing to basically stop and accept that this situation is getting overwhelming. So we're going to have to get somebody to chip in for a while. So there's always a middle ground, and it's important to remember that middle ground can only be established together as a couple. You both need to be on the same page there.
Yeah, and again, that's asking what would love do. Be like, well, absolutely get support in to take some pressure off us. It's being vulnerable and asking for help. Because we're so embarrassed to ask for help. To admit that we're failing. I remember when, I was going through a lot of challenges. I'd lost my mom. My sister was also terminally ill. And I remember, getting my boss saying to me, right, I think you need to go and get signed off work. And I was like, why?
Because that's not even an option, is it, at that point?
I simply was not functioning whatsoever. I wasn't productive. I couldn't be creative. I was stressed, and my normal tasks that would take me half an hour were taking me 3-4 hours. And then, it was just
spiraling into one another.
And that's what love would do in the situation. But I remember at the time thinking, but this is the only thing that's going right in my life, and I was hanging on to that. But actually what I needed was the space away from that stress. That's what love would have done in that situation. It was allowing me to take a break, nourish myself, fill my cup back up, and just recharge and just gather,
energize,
gather and recollect what was going on, the crisis around me, and going, okay, well, what can I do without having to do that? One of the other, I'm conscious we've only got about 10 minutes left, but unconditional love.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting concept because, obviously parents usually have unconditional love for their children. We try to apply it to ourselves, but we don't. We often have so many conditions attached about, I will love you. And even we're not even conscious about it. So, well, first of all, can you give me your sort of take on unconditional love? And I mean, is it something that we should apply to other people, or is it just for ourselves in terms of self-care? Because if we're unconditional with ourselves, we're in a better place. But should we always have boundaries with other people, no matter who they are, our children, our partners, our colleagues, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I personally think it's important to have boundaries. I'm not that person that's going to stay in a relationship regardless of how the other person's treating me. There's no way on God's green earth I would do that, right? Like, I just think, and it's not based on conditions. It's not about like, they have to buy this for me and they have to do this for me. There needs to be some level of respect and boundary and some kind of communication there, that everybody's on the same page, right? So I think when it comes to unconditional love, you can give it to children. I think our parents and but not in every case. I know parents that cannot give unconditional love to their children as well, because it depends on which school they go to, what marks they get, how well they do in life, whether they become a doctor or a lawyer, or whether they become a certain profession. It's really common, whether they look a certain way, like, we can't accept you because you've taken the wrong path in life. We don't like you because you're hanging around with not the right people. Not every parent can give unconditional love. That's a
pink or whatever it might be.
It's really difficult. So it's a really nice concept, but it's really hard to establish and like to stick to as well, Suzy. Even with ourselves, we think, right, do you know what, I'll celebrate, but I'll celebrate when I get to this point of my career, or I'll wear that dress when I lose £6, or I'll put this on when I actually have I've got my hair done. So even that's conditional. I know it's just small examples, but do you see where that's not unconditional love,
though, doesn't it? You know, these small things, but you know, pile it on top and if you actually start listing all the conditions you attach to yourself,
it builds up, doesn't it? So this is what I mean. So it all does add up. So regardless of what we think, it all does just add up, right? So I think personally, when it comes to love, especially romantic relationships, because that's where a lot of boundaries can be breached, right? I feel, and this is just my personal opinion, it's important to have a boundary, because that boundary will protect you and look after you. And that boundary doesn't need to be about strict, like, this is how I want to be treated. It can be basic things like, I deserve respect, I deserve love, I deserve attention, I deserve to be valued as an individual. It could be simple, basic things like that. But I do think you need to have a cutoff, because if you don't have a cutoff, God, there's my buzzer going again. If you don't have a cutoff, then how are you going to establish when you're going to walk away? Because then you're never going to know when to walk away, are you?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, like, if it happens once, then obviously, you know, you can reinstate that boundary, your value, and say, look, you know, you cross my values here, my boundaries, and have that conversation. But if it's continually being stepped on, then that's a red flag to say, you know. Yeah. But then, I do wonder about children. You know, we try to apply unconditional love. How do we learn to just accept they're going to make mistakes, they're discovering themselves, they're experimenting, you know, and not to project our own expectations, our own conditions? And, you know, how do you do that? Because, you know, like you say, you've seen it a lot in your clients. So if you go get these grades, if you get this, then I love you. And sometimes it can be just, you know, you're not even aware that you're doing it, and the pressure that you're putting to your children.
Yeah. So I think the question you always need to ask yourself in that moment is, what is your intention behind whatever it is that you're asking from the other person, right? So if you're saying, I want you to get grades, why do you want them to get them grades? About 90% of the time, it's not going to be because of the benefit of the child. It'll be because it makes me feel good about myself, or you're living vicariously through that child, basically, right? That's what
you don't want them to make the same mistakes as you
don't
did,
want them to make so, and then it's fear. That was going to be exactly what I was going to say. Or it's coming from a place of fear. I don't want you to make mistakes. Now, if your intention is all coming back down to you, then that's your problem. That's not the other person's problem. You need to speak to somebody, or you need to work through yourself and identify, what is that fear? What is the regret? What is the guilt? What is the worry that keeps on coming up again and again in your head that's actually being projected onto the other person? If there is a genuine fear for the child, like maybe you're worried about something happening to them, then sit down with them and say, look, this is my concern. This is why I'm saying it. So let's both get on the same page so that we can work through this, right? So again, it's about being practical, but there's no, I mean, anybody that puts a condition on something, right? Straight away, it's not going to be about the other person. It's always going to be about yourself. Fear, insecurity, worry, jealousy, status, like society is all going to be coming down to those factors, which are obviously things that we carry in ourselves. So you really need to sit down and work out, but why is that important to you? And what does that mean for you? And what would happen if you didn't get that outcome? Because this is what will allow you to identify the areas that maybe still need to be healed and worked on within yourself. And this is where, Suzy, you come in with the personal development stuff.
We're here, guys.
This is why personal development is important. And this is why, like, places like your place, your coaching groups, your company, the programs that you run, the coaches that you have, this is why this kind of work is important, because you cannot live in a place of fear and worry and anxiety and project it onto everybody else around you, because then it makes you feel better. Because what you've done is you've made everybody else around you feel worse. You might feel better, but everybody else is feeling guilty, feeling bad, or feeling like a bad person for living the life that they want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't pay her to say that, by the way, but yeah, you want to check out Change Your World.
That was just an unconditional plug. There you go.
I mean, bottom line is, though, I mean, coming back to that question, what would love do? If you've got your child there and you are projecting all these conditions onto them, you know, you're putting the pressure and the fear on. But if you actually say, okay, what would love do? Love would give that child a cuddle,
them space.
Give them space, give them encouragement, nourishment, and said, you know what, well done. Whatever, you know, they achieved, or, you know, just said, you know, you did your best, fantastic. You would encourage them. That's what love would do. And you would actually get more results, more potential out of the child if you do take away those
definitely
fears.
And you know what, Suzy, the other thing is, if you get, because that's coming from a place of fear. I wish we had more time, because I feel like I've got so much to say about this, but I mean, think it. So I've got nephews and nieces, right? Of course I worry about them, and I worry about what they do in school and when they're younger and everything else, like what's going to happen, because it's such a difficult world out there. But I don't lead with fear. I teach them how to get out of certain situations. What would you do? What would you say? How would you deal with that situation? So don't project
developing their critical thinking,
give them the life skills that they need to, so that as a parent or an auntie or an uncle or like some kind of guardian for that child, you have faith in that individual, and you know that no matter what happens, they will know what to do, or in the very least, they will know that they can go and speak to somebody and get help if they need to. So don't hold them back. Let them be free, but then give them the tools and the skill set and the knowledge and the insight and the life skills to be able to deal with life if something is thrown in their direction.
And that, what a beautiful end, because I mean, that is ultimately what love would do, you know, would very much empower that person, whoever it is, set them free, but also let them know you are here, you are there for them, should they need your support. So couldn't have ended it more beautifully, Cam.
And I'm so sorry about all the interruptions. I honestly was not expecting that. If I'd known that, I would have scheduled the call on a different day or a different time. I'm so sorry.
Well, listen, it allowed us to celebrate your birthday with you, just a little smidgen. So a very happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
So, thanks, guys. Take care.